Thank you for joining Let's Meet Where We Eat, conversations with innovation and entrepreneurship leaders who specialize in food and nutrition. Our series is presented by Nourish Cafe and the Food and Nutrition Innovation Institute at the Tufts Friedman School for Nutrition Science and Policy. Enjoy. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Nourish Cafe. We're so excited to have all of you with us today, and we're really excited to have Taylor Newman with us from Kroger. Kroger is one of the country's biggest. Taylor, is it the biggest? I think it's the biggest grocery store chain in the country, right?
Yes, the largest traditional retailer.
There we go. It's a best in show. I knew that. We're so excited to have Taylor with us today. She's going to share with us her pathway of her work here at Kroger, some of the things that she's seeing in the field that are exciting and challenging to her, and offer some great advice to all of you students moving forward. So Taylor, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, thanks for having me.
So we like to start out these with a little bit of not me introducing you, but you introducing you. Tell us what your role is at Kroger and how did you get there?
Yeah, so I am a nutrition program development manager at the Kroger Co., specifically within Kroger Health. So if you've ever been to a Kroger and picked up a prescription at one of our pharmacies, you have engaged with Kroger Health. And within Kroger Health, there's a whole food as medicine team and strategy. And so that's kind of the team that I work on. In my role, I wear many different hats every day. So I can serve as a subject matter expert for our food as medicine strategy. I am a registered dietitian, so I also see patients. I do project management. I have my PhD, so I also help lead research projects that are kind of exploring the effectiveness of food and health. So I have a very dynamic role, and it is fascinating, and it keeps me busy every day. So that's what
what's so interesting, Taylor, about that is I don't think anyone listening to this would expect that someone who is at Kroger gets to do things like see patients and do research and engage in this food as medicine conversation. That is so interesting to me. And it just speaks to how quickly we are evolving in this world of food system innovation and nutrition science. So can you give us a little bit of background? I mean, I know our students are hearing what you do and going, oh my God, that's so cool. I want to do that too. How did you get from where you started in nutrition to a role like this at Kroger? What was that journey?
So I probably never would have imagined that I would have ended up in the role that I'm in now. So started my academic career at Florida State, got my bachelor's in dietetics. I knew immediately that I wanted to become a registered dietitian. So then from there on out, it was a 10-year journey to becoming a dietitian. Along the way, I got my PhD at the University of Georgia in foods and nutrition, and I did my research in the food as medicine world on produce prescription programs. So where healthcare providers are prescribing fruits and vegetables to those who need them most. So I had this interest in food as medicine. Food policy had always been important to me. So had food insecurity, addressing food insecurity. So by the time I graduated, I was looking for a job that kind of encompassed all of my different interests. And lo and behold, Kroger did. So the role that I ended up taking, once I met with the team and I realized that they also cared about food as medicine, they cared about evidence-based policies, I realized that that was the team for me. And to work for a large company like Kroger, we could have a really big impact on America's health and well-being. So it was just the perfect fit, and I've really enjoyed my time. So I never thought that as a dietitian, I would work for a corporate company or have a business role, but here I am, and I've learned a lot, and I wouldn't change it.
I love that. How long have you been at Kroger?
Just over a year now.
Just over a year. It feels like it's been longer than that.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. It feels like we've been because we've been on some panels and been at different conferences and things together. That's really cool. I think you've heard me tell the story before that I grew up in Bowling Green, Kentucky, where Kroger was our grocery store, and in high school we would go Krogering. It was like an activity, like going to the park or playing sports, and we got stickers. So we were the obnoxious teenagers getting stickers, of course, in the checkout line, which teenagers just do, right?
Yeah.
So you've mentioned food as medicine several times, and food as medicine is one of those hot, cool, interesting So a little controversial, there's a lot of dimensions to it. I'd love for you to describe where, as a nutritionist, where do you come out? What is your sort of theory of change or thoughts about food as medicine?
That so from I'll answer it from a retail dietitian's point of view, because that's the role that I occupy now. So I think that food as medicine, from Kroger's point of view, is a dedicated, educated, and personalized approach to eating and enjoying food and preventing illness before it starts. And so, as a retail dietitian, I think that the role that we have is really unique. We're like right where the customers are at the grocery shelves. They're choosing what to purchase, trying to make those decisions, and whatever they purchase and take home impacts what they have available to consume. So we have a really unique opportunity to help customers choose healthful options so that they can support their health in the long term. And I think what's really great about Kroger Health dietitians, and this is my philosophy as well, is that we take a very compassionate, understanding, and once again, personalized approach to nutrition. So there's no food shaming, there's no judgment. Food doesn't have morality. We think that all foods can fit into a healthful diet. And so we really meet patients and customers where they're at based on lifestyle, budget, medical conditions. And we kind of triage all of these factors that are really personal to each individual so that we can help them meet their health goals. So I think that's where the dietitian comes in, and why our role at Kroger is so important, because we are a grocery store. And so having that nutrition dietitian lens is, I really thinking, connecting food and health for our customers.
Yeah, inherently, I have to say, when I say the phrase food is medicine, I think about some things that I buy at the grocery store. Not all food is medicine. Sometimes I wonder if we should call the phrase food can be medicine. Because there's a lot of different options when it comes to what we're going to put in our bodies. And so certainly that's something that I know the phrase itself, those trying to apply the phrase wrestle with, because it is about moderation, right?
Yes, exactly. It's a balance. Yeah.
It's a balance. So you were talking about produce prescriptions. For anyone who doesn't know, can you give us a little bit more detailed look into what an actual produce prescription is? I mean, I think about going to the doctors and getting a prescription.
Yeah.
So does this mean that, like, I'm getting a prescription for, like, Katie, you really need to up your fiber in your broccoli and maybe throw in some almonds? Like, how prescribed is a produce prescription? Talk us through what it is.
Yeah. So you're not too far off, actually. So my research looked at produce prescription programs across the country, because when I had started grad school, these programs were popping up all over, and there was no kind of like standardized way that they were being conducted. There weren't standard measures. And so what I was curious about was, how are programs creating these prescriptions, and who are they serving, and what are the kind of trends, so that we could have a blueprint for future programs. And so the programs look like a variety across the country, but the prescription itself typically was less prescriptive, like eat fiber, but more so a financial voucher or coupon. So you would go to your doctor, and your doctor, based on a list of criteria, maybe you were experiencing food insecurity, maybe you had a low income, maybe you had a diet-related disease like diabetes. Whatever the condition was, the prescriber would give you a coupon or a voucher to usually spend at a farmer's market, but not always, sometimes at retailers. And so you could take this, sometimes physical, sometimes it was a coin, very rarely was it a debit card, to your local farmer's market that was participating, and you could exchange it for fresh fruits and vegetables. And so in that way, usually they were like 6 months long or shorter. And so for a time period, you would have access to fresh fruits and vegetables locally grown. So you're both supporting the local growers, and you're getting access to all this delicious produce. So yeah, it could look like a variety of things, but usually it was just kind of left choice up to the participant to choose what they were choosing.
And so now we're getting pretty quickly advanced in how we're thinking about personalized nutrition to the point of precision nutrition. And so, I've done a number of, I think I've tried every biohacking kit out there because I find them totally fascinating, especially when they contradict each other, which is part of the challenge because we're still early in the science. But how much of this future in this precision nutrition space do you see coming to your doorstep as someone looking at produce prescriptions and as a nutritionist working with clients on how you're going to advise them?
I
Much more
think,
microbiome focused, right?
yes, yeah, you're right. These are, I hear more and more about precision nutrition all the time. And I think it's a fascinating concept of like really drilling down on what works for each individual. Personally, I feel like where we're at right now, as that research is growing and becoming more robust, I'm at even like taking a step back of let's get access to healthful foods before for everyone, before I would kind of hone in on those kinds of biohacking. So if I'm working with a patient, I'm probably going to be checking to make sure, like, are you eating enough calories? Are you eating enough of your macronutrients? Like, are you eating enough fruits and vegetables? Because the majority of Americans are not. So I kind of step back in my approach to nutrition and just make sure the basics are done before we would get to something as honed in as like microbiome. But like you said, it is fascinating and it's growing, and I am very interested to see how that does impact the future of nutrition care with dietitians, because that would definitely be something that could be worked into like a medical nutrition therapy appointment.
Yeah, I mean, your point is well taken that, someone's probably not dealing with leaky gut if they already have a very, very, very healthy diet to begin with. If you're just a salad person and you're eating 50 grams of fiber a day and your, phytonutrients are out the wazoo, you're probably not dealing with some of these leaky gut and some of these other issues that would drive you to seek out like what foods are really bothering me. So that is an interesting cycle and observation. You got to kind of stop the bleeding before you figure out how to prevent it from ever happening again. I like that. So in thinking about, and I know that Kroger does a lot with data and artificial intelligence as well and analytics, and thinking about your career, talk to our students for a second about as they're going through their journey of education, things like data science, et cetera, like what are some things, if you were going to go back, would you make sure that you had covered? Or what are some things, given this modern changing world of nutrition science research and food system innovation, what are some things you wish you'd gone and caught along the way to bring with you that maybe you're learning on the fly now?
That's a great question. I'm laughing because I wish I could go back and do this. So I think when I was going through grad school, one thing, math has never been my strong suit, statistics, I was never really drawn to that. I really liked community nutrition and people over numbers. But now that I'm in my role, I have a much more research heavy role than I thought I was going to. And if I could go back, I would really pay attention to statistics and like practice more on conducting analyses myself. Where I'm in now, we do have a data science partner, 8451, and they're amazing. And they help with a lot of the analyses that I might need for the research studies that I help with. But I would love to be able to do those kinds of analyses myself with more confidence. I'm sure I could figure it out, but yeah, so just paying more attention to statistics and like, it actually will come in handy in the future, or it could if you plan on staying in research. So yeah, emphasis on statistics.
That's fantastic advice. I think that is a great place for us to end and something for our students to think about. Taylor, we're going to continue to watch your growth at Kroger, and hopefully you'll come back and share with us some of the results of this research you're doing, because I think that would be a great moment for another time, is some of the stuff that you're learning in this progression on this nutrition science world that we're in. So thank you for your time, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.